Satang Prasanga.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. How are you doing? I pray that all is well with you and your families at this time. So today we're moving on to a new letter, and this is to Gajendra Prabhu, Prabhupada's disciple, and he is a temple president at that time. So he's writing to Prabhupada as a temple president, and he has some interesting questions as well. So we're going to explore this beautiful letter. So Prabhupada starts at the top. Letter to Gajendra, Los Angeles, 27 January 1970. And then he writes it in reverse numerically, the date. Seattle. And then he starts the letter. My dear Gajendra Das, please accept my blessings. I beg to acknowledge receipt of your letter dated January 24th, 1970. So it's just 3 days before. This letter is 27th. His letter reached Prabhupada on the 24th. And I am so glad to learn that at the present moment you are president of the center. It is a great satisfaction to me. So Prabhupada is saying, I'm so happy that you're taking on this responsibility. And because it's a huge responsibility, you have to literally be the father of everyone, and you also have to be the guardian of everyone, the caretaker of the whole property. This is Prabhupada's property, which has been given to you in your care. So the mood of the temple president is that this whole project is Prabhu Data Desh. Prabhu Data Desh means this is given to me by my spiritual master to take care of it for him. This is my dear, something that's I've dedicated my life to, serving this project, in taking care of it for my spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, the Parampara, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, right up to Krishna. So Prabhupada is expressing his pleasure at this. I'm very satisfied that you're taking on this responsibility. Prabhupada goes on to say, when a Krishna conscious person is elevated to a responsible position, he never becomes puffed up. So this word puffed up, it's something that Prabhupada would use a lot, and it became part of the ISKCON jargon. Don't be puffed up das. Puffed up das brahmachari. So we would have different names like this, but Prabhupada would have these names like this: rascal, puffed up. You know when you hear it, it's only Prabhupada speaking. So Prabhupada, the meaning of it and the way he used it is, don't have a big false ego. So Prabhupada is saying here, this is a responsible position and you're doing it on my behalf. So don't become proud that it's yours. This was the defect of Indra. We remember that. That's why Krishna taught him that lesson. That don't be proud that you are Indra, king of the demigods. No, you're just serving in that position. So it's a post. And you're taking the post to be your own, and you're taking the credit of it. No, you are just being responsible for this on behalf of your spiritual master. So Prabhupada says here, just like a tree which is overladen with fruits becomes humble and lower down. Similarly, a great soul in Krishna consciousness becomes humbler than the grass and bowed down like the fruitful trees, because the Krishna conscious person acts as the agent of Krishna. So Prabhupada is saying here, this is the mood. Understand that just like a big tree, a mango tree, some other fruit tree, the fruit is the perfection of the tree. When it's able to bear fruit, that is when the tree is most valuable, most honored. But what happens with the tree? By the weight of the fruit, by the weight of all the qualities, the tree becomes lower. It becomes lowered down, humble. So in the Vedic scripture, this analogy is used to describe that for one who's got a lot of great qualities, then the actual greatness is that he becomes humble. Trinadapi sunichena taroreva sahishnana amanina manadena kirtanya sadahari. So this quality also then qualifies him to constantly chant Kirtanya Sadahari. Why? Because he is not wanting any respect. Amanina Manadena. His ego is not involved in his practice. And he is constantly giving respect to others. And by doing that, he's making himself lower than the straw in the street. Who cares for the straw in the street? Why? Because he knows I'm actually not doing anything here. I'm just serving as this person, as this figure, as this post. And Krishna is the doer. He's doing everything through my spiritual master who is instructing me to do things. Therefore the honor goes to Krishna. No matter how big it is, the honor, just like Prabhupada would say, he was criticized that, why did you take this name Prabhupada? His godbrothers would say, this is for our Guru Maharaj, you took this name. But actually, technically in Vedic scripture, that title is given to anybody who is a leader of a community of people. That title is given. In the Gaudiya Vaishnava culture, anyone who is a leader within a community, he can be taken the title of Prabhupada. So Prabhupada commented that, they're saying why I took this title Prabhupada. He said, I've written so many books, I've opened over 108 temples. So as he's saying these things, it's sounding like, Prabhupada is saying he's doing it. And I've done all these things, 5,000 disciples initiated. But Prabhupada is saying at the end, his humility comes out. He says, this is all the inheritance of my spiritual master. I have inherited all of this from my Guru. It's his. And he's given me this as an inheritance. Just see the humility. So humility is not something that is actually practiced. It's actually a result of a certain mindset and a result of a certain heart. If you're in that mood or mode, automatically humility is the result. It's actually not something that's just practiced. You can practice it to come to that stage, yes, but it will be a bit artificial. But if you genuinely have humility, if you genuinely in a certain mode set, a mindset, then humility is the result of that. And this is Prabhupada. So Prabhupada goes on to say, therefore he discharges his duty with great responsibility. Because why? This is Prabhu Data Desh. This is given to me by my Prabhu, my Lord. And I'm taking care of this as a responsible disciple of his. So this is the mood. Prabhupada goes on to say, you are very much welcome to write once in a month, and I shall be very glad to reply them point by point. I am glad to learn that everyone is busy engaged in Krishna consciousness business and chanting 16 rounds and reading Srimad Bhagavatam regularly. This is our life. So Prabhupada is saying, I'm glad you're giving everybody busy, and I'm glad that they're doing their 16 rounds and reading Bhagavatam. This is the life of a devotee. He's always hearing and he's always chanting. These are the two things, two parallel lines that he builds his devotional service on. Hearing and chanting. Prabhupada goes on to say, here also I have introduced in the LA temple 24-hour engagement. When Krishna Kanti Kal returns, you will learn from him everything, how this temple is doing nicely. So Prabhupada is saying, this devotee is coming back, and you ask him about how we do this, how we do that. Learn, inquire and learn how things are done. So this is how Prabhupada would train his devotees. Prabhupada goes on to say, extend your activities to the university campus because the younger generation is our future hope. So I was always very much eager to try to help in the university preaching because I joined through that. And Prabhupada is saying the younger generation, they always want to do something. At that age, they want to do something for the world because they're trying to find their identity. So they're always eager to do something. So show them what is Krishna consciousness and let them become an example to the world. So Prabhupada is giving the example here of the bamboo. He says, bamboo, while it is green, can be bent and carved. But when it is yellow and ripe, if there is any attempt to bend it, it cracks. So we know bamboo is used for everything here in India. It's one of the strongest natural materials, bamboo. We even build multi-level buildings in India here using bamboo. There's no other scaffolding. It's the cheapest scaffolding, but it's the strongest material. So when it's green, it can be bent. We know that any tree or sapling, if you want it to be in a certain way, you bend it in a certain way, it will grow that way. But when it's old and you try to bend it, it just cracks. So Prabhupada is using the same analogy here. So he's saying these young children, these young teenagers who are at university, they came there to learn. So teach them about life, not only to get knowledge to have a vocation, a kind of employment, but teach them about life as well. Teach them about how life works, how to understand life scientifically through the Srimad Bhagavatam. Prabhupada goes on to say, Krishna is evergreen, youthful, original person, and he gathers around him all young boys and girls as cowherd boys and gopis in his eternal Vrindavan Leela. So try seriously to impress upon the young hearts and you will be successful. So Prabhupada is saying here that when they're young, they're innocent. So don't let them be misdirected by the world of other people who are trying to control them and influence them about materialistic life. When they're young, they're very impressionable. So teach them the right thing, show them the genuine knowledge, and let them understand for themselves. You don't need to, speak some falsity. Let them understand from what it is. Krishna consciousness is very scientific. So let them see, let them hear, let them understand for themselves. So Prabhupada was very much for the younger generation. And I like this example that he gives. Krishna is a young boy, so he's interested to be with young people, like cowherd boys and gopis. Beautiful analogy. And therefore many of them, all of them actually, are innocent. And they can very easily be persuaded by charismatic people. So show them firstly, show them the genuine knowledge, let them understand it by reason. Remember, this knowledge is understood by reason. Raja Vidyam Raja Guhyam Pavitram Midam Uttamam Pratyaksha Vargamam Dharmam Susukam Kartam Apyayam. In 9.2 Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, this knowledge is the king of knowledge and it can be understood by direct perception of the self through realization. You can understand the self how? Through realization, not by sight, by realization. That means it's meant to be thoughtful, for thoughtful people. Sumedasaha. Yagya Sankirtana Prair Yajantihi Sumedasaha. It's for intelligent people. Actually very intelligent. Maida is intelligent. Sumaida means very intelligent. So it shows it's meant for thoughtful people. Prabhupada goes on to say here, try to get that fraternity house as soon as possible. So there's a project that they are trying to work on, and it's probably that's where he's temple president at. And Prabhupada is saying, well, if it's going so well, then let's try to buy the property. And then we can see from there, we can expand it and make it into a temple. So lots of exciting news here. It's a beautiful letter. It comes up with the questions now, which we will start and address from tomorrow. So thank you very much. May you have a good day. We'll see you tomorrow. Hare Krishna.